Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the first panel show of 2024. I hope everybody had a very nice Christmas and a happy New Year, of course, to everybody. So listen, the panel show is back, hopefully weekly on a weekly basis. I've got Martin, Jordan, JSGC, and Amos here with me. Daps was busy, so he's not available. But listen, before we get into all the ins and outs, please do us a massive favor. Hit the like button on this stream. It massively helps. And subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're getting close now to 86,000. We'd love to hit that as soon as possible. But how's everyone doing? Happy New Year. Did we all have a nice Christmas?
Yeah, it was lovely. Wonderful.
Happy New Year to all.
Happy New Year to everybody. Fantastic. Thank you. You?
Yeah. World champions. How about that? City, 5 trophies in 1 year. Not a bad haul.
Hey,
come on.
Where did we go from there? That's what I've been asking.
We've peaked.
No.
It's meltdown and a crisis. Come on. A lot of crap. Get him out.
Well, Martin is always the calm person on the show, and he preaches calmness. He does a very good job. I'll give him credit for that. And I think the situation we found ourselves in regarding the Premier League title race, it allows us to be calm. I think we can be more calm than probably we expected to be coming back from Saudi Arabia, considering the dropping of points from Liverpool once or twice, and then Arsenal have somewhat capitulated in recent weeks. Anyway, Martin, I always like to start with you because I like to get your thoughts. Did you expect to be like this when we got back from the Club World Cup? Did you expect us to be within this distance at the top of the table?
No, but I expected us to be fine. I didn't expect us to be this close because I didn't think Arsenal and Liverpool would drop. I know Liverpool are on this kind of okay run, but they have still dropped points as well. But Arsenal, no, wasn't expecting them to do that. I wasn't expecting Rice and Gabriel to nearly have a fisticuff fight in the middle of a football pitch either. It's just all quite funny. But I've not seen many Arsenal crisis videos going out or Liverpool. It's a bit weird. There's nothing where their crisis videos and everything else.
It's only when we do it. It's only when we drop points, Martin.
You know what?
You should know that now.
Everyone go and watch a film, Groundhog Day. This is just 5 years of it now. It's honestly, it's quite shocking that we are a game in hand, we win it, we're 2 points behind, and we've still got Doku, Haaland, John Stones, and a certain KDB to walk back in, and the possibility of a certain German international to walk through the door as well. Yeah. It's nice to come about all of this, mate.
You can't have bombs like that, Martin. You've definitely heard some.
Pep out, get him out. There's a lot of crap. Get him out.
It is mad, right? When you consider a few weeks back, all the City in crisis videos, and we were getting written off out of this title race already. And it's like Martin said there, Groundhog Day. It's like people forget what we've done in the past. Do you know what I mean? Like, how can people write us off so soon?
It's always this time of year.
Yeah.
Go back. Quote, Pep says the exact same thing. The season doesn't begin until January and the knockout of the Champions League. Get us into there and then we're off.
I think we're at a bit of an advantage as well. We've got a quiet January coming up. We've only got a few games, so you can just kind of take your time and just prepare as well as you can for a couple of big games in January. I think we're in a pretty solid position right now. February onwards, you get to the Champions League games and stuff, and the fixtures start coming in thick and fast. But as Martin just said, we get the likes of Haaland, Doku, Kevin De Bruyne, John Stones, all coming back. You get them fully fit and everything. It's going to be very difficult for Liverpool, for Arsenal, for Spurs, and then anybody else to stop Manchester City once they get going. So, negativity has been a topic of conversation really over the last 6 weeks or so, and then just kind of dwindled down once we become world champions, and we just seem to have come back from Saudi Arabia and really just hit our own stride. So I'm excited for January. I really am. I'm looking forward to a little break. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm looking forward to a little breaks between games, a week or so, till we go. Is it against Newcastle? Then is it the winter break for a couple of weeks?
Yeah.
And if we make it past Huddersfield, we end up playing end of January, and then there's a match against Burnley on the 31st, I think. Other than that, you can just really focus on your games and push from there. I think I'd be surprised, actually, if City don't end up picking up maximum points in the Premier League and we're only playing 2 games between now and the end of January.
I think it's good for players like Kevin, because they're coming back in a relatively chilled period where it's not like relentless week in, week out. So we can assess them more with gaps in between there and see what they're saying. And obviously with John Stones' injury, with Doku in that, gives them more time to get back into it. It's not less. I don't want to not begging for it right now. But it's crazy how we pretty much have Haaland, Doku, and Kevin De Bruyne coming back this month. I don't know about John Stones. I don't know what his situation is, but the fact that they're coming back this month and we're sitting with the game in hand and we could be 2 points off top.
Didn't Klopp say something? Didn't Klopp come out with that comment last week of KDB's coming back?
Did he? That's funny if he did.
I just summed it all up. He was like, yeah, KDB's coming back.
He said
he's getting ready for his excuse, isn't he? He's just
Everyone's forgotten about
what
it.
Man City are firm favourites. We were never favourites for this,
He said Kevin De Bruyne is coming back and the world is shaking. I don't know, did he mean everybody should be nervous, or he's calling Kevin De Bruyne overweight? I don't know, he's saying he put on a bit of weight.
Haven't we all over Christmas?
But you guys are right though about the players coming back, and Jason particularly about this favourable run of fixtures that I've mentioned quite a bit on the channel in recent weeks. I mean, I didn't expect the mini capitulation from Arsenal in recent weeks. I really thought them, maybe Liverpool as well, would potentially put some genuine broad daylight between us and them for when we get back from Saudi Arabia. And I was a bit. I wasn't at panic stations. I wasn't thinking, we can't do it this year because look, we've been in worse situations than this before. But I definitely was thinking we're going to have a bigger mountain to overcome. And now I don't know about you lads, but I feel a lot better. I mean, I was at the game. I know Jason, you probably were. Martin and Amos, you probably were as well against Sheffield United. The biggest roar of the day, or Sheffield United, the biggest roar of the day came when Kevin De Bruyne came on for his warm up, not when Alvarez scored.
I thought we scored.
So did I.
Yeah.
So did I.
I thought if the goal got in, I missed it.
I know.
And it was so psychologically done by Pep. It was just roll him out, like the rest
He had
of the
no
league.
intention of playing. He had no intention.
That was so to wind the rest of the league up. Here we go. just look who's there. That was masterful.
Like I was saying, we kind of gave one or both of them a golden opportunity to really give themselves a good head start as we kind of make our way into the business end of the season. But now I feel a lot better about it. I mean, Amos, who do you look at now out of those two and say they're going to go the distance with us, or do you think both could?
I totally agree. I think we have to sort of just make note of the fact that this period has been benefited by Arsenal and Liverpool playing each other and that game finishing a draw. I think if Arsenal had maybe won that, if Liverpool had won that, we are looking at 2 points extra going to one of the rivals. So that was brilliantly timed for City, and the fact that we didn't play but two of our rivals dropped points. I personally still think, I was going to call it a three horse race, but Aston Villa are sat in second, so that would be a bit disingenuous of me. But it's difficult to see them really going into sort of March, April, May, still being in that picture. They might do, who knows? But I still think, we are looking at Arsenal, Liverpool. Just like City had a bit of a rough patch going back into sort of November, December. Arsenal are in a bit of a rough patch now. Liverpool, weirdly enough, are probably playing some of their best football of the season. But would anybody say they've been scintillating like Jurgen Klopp teams have been in the past? probably not. A little bit shaky against Newcastle, although they accumulated 7.5 XG or something. So I think we're still in that stage now, and January always is the case where cup competitions come back in, and obviously February you get the Champions League. Still just trying to work each other out, but City, like you say, for the clubs to have had a head start on City, and it's still only be 5 points, provisionally 2, should we beat Brentford at home. Yeah, I mean, I said on Twitter a couple of weeks ago, if Liverpool or Arsenal, or maybe even Aston Villa don't win the league this season, they're going to be kicking themselves, because it's clear there has been transition periods for City. Who knows? We might get into March, April, May, and City might capitulate, and because there is a few unproven aspects of this side, but it's difficult to see really, given how it is at the moment.
Martin, who do you look at? Arsenal, Liverpool?
Well, I didn't realise Arsenal and Liverpool are playing each other again in about 3 weeks in the league.
Are they?
We've got the FA
it's the fixture that comes back.
Yeah.
Like we've got Everton in a couple of weeks.
So I understand we've still got to go to Anfield, we've still got to go to White Hart Lane. That's, the kicker on it. But I think Arsenal are very weird. I think Arteta has done things the wrong way around. He tried to be Pep, went out in the summer, spent a load of money, 85 million on Rice. Rice is a fabulous player, but far too much pressure on him straight away. He's never been in a title-winning situation. He's never been in a European, Champions League situation, and they put all their pins and hopes onto him.
Do you know what, Martin? I don't necessarily think it's him. I think the issue is more the goalkeeper situation that Arteta's.
I was going to come to that.
It's complete and utter madness what he's done there. Ramsdale, granted, had a mistake in him, but he was one of the best players last season, and he has tried to do a Pep with the sort of the Bravo Edison thing, where he's gone for someone who he thinks can be the guy. But it's just, I don't know any insight, but it just looks like the dressing room hasn't taken to it at all.
I don't understand what he's done. It's like he's even changed his tactics, and it's made them worse in the way they're playing. and Liverpool have always been my fear, because they've been here, they've done it, they've worn the t-shirt. The thing for them is, I think, and I've said this last year, they're wide open at the back. Yes, they had a 7. What was it? 7. You tell us, a 7 point. What was it? XG.
So, yeah, it was over 7. But it was a record.
They could have conceded 4 back the other way quite easily. And Salah's about to disappear for 4 weeks, and Endo's about to go to the Asia Cup.
They need a defender in January, Liverpool, massively.
Their hopes are going to go on to Núñez for the next 3-4 weeks. And the thing is with Salah, this is his last AFCON, is it? He's going to want to win this.
Yeah.
He's not going to want to just get there and get home straight away. He's going to want to win this. It's probably his last shot at it. I said Endo, who's coming into a bit of form, he's not there. And I think they're wide open at the back. I'm not saying City should, I do think City will still win it. Villa are a tricky one, because Villa are on that crest at the moment. And it's when the way I look at Villa is the same way I looked at Leicester. When we said we're all sat there and we're all going, they're going to drop. They'll drop this week. They'll drop this week. And it's like, when do you get to a point where you go, they ain't dropping? And you've now got to start taking him in a serious fashion.
Match day 37 last week before the season.
You don't know, because Villa have got money to go in January if they want to get going. If they want to show that proper push. So, on paper right now, it's a 4-horse race. That's the thing. It is a 4-horse race.
Do you reckon, Jace?
I think there's some big questions to be asked. I think it's a 5-horse race. I know people are going to be very dismissive about Tottenham Hotspur, but if City don't find a run of form and Aston Villa continue to drop some points against teams where you expect them to be picking up wins, I've just noticed over the last 3-4 weeks, Aston Villa, great when they're playing the likes of Manchester City and Arsenal at Villa Park, who are going to be nice and open for them. They're going to be very motivated for that game. You go and play a Burnley at home. They struggled at the weekend against them. You go and play a Sheffield United, who nearly played the perfect game against them at Villa Park. All of a sudden, you're facing teams who are doing the park the bus, the low block, and all of a sudden, Aston Villa don't have that creativity, them answers. And as the games start coming in, the pressure will start to crank up. And I think Aston Villa's focus very much will be, do they want top 4? Do they want to compete for the Premier League? Well, big January window coming up for them. I have my doubts, but I'm not going to underestimate Aston Villa because I think they're a very good side. My only question mark over them is, are they capable in the games, not necessarily against the big teams at the top of the table. It's more when they're going up against the teams fighting for their lives at the bottom, your Bournemouths, your Wolverhampton Wanderers, your Luton Towns. Them games are the big games because you want to win a Premier League. You have to beat them home and you have to beat them away. In terms of Liverpool, I think it's a big blow for them. I was just having a look at their fixtures, actually, while they're missing Salah in particular. Bournemouth away, Chelsea at home, potentially Arsenal away as well. Got a couple of Carabao Cup semi-final matches against Fulham sandwiched in there as well. They've got an FA Cup third-round match against Arsenal. They've got, potentially, if they go through to that, they've got an FA Cup fourth-round match as well. So as we've got a nice chilled-out January where we can just focus week on week on our opponents. Games are coming in thick and fast there for Liverpool without their main man. And for Arsenal, I don't know about Arsenal. I watch them sometimes and I think, you know what? They look really good. I watch them at other times and I just think to myself, they lack consistency. Arteta makes some strange decisions for them. And just when the opportunity's there for them to grab it with both hands and really assert themselves, they seem to just do what Arsenal do. And it blows my mind that they're always referring to Tottenham Hotspur as doing Spursy things. But as an outsider looking in, I think to myself, Arsenal are just doing what Arsenal do, which is bottle the Premier League when you think actually it's a great opportunity for them to go and do so. So I have to question their mental capabilities when it comes to winning the Premier League. I think I'm not going to dismiss Spurs. I just think they've got a lot to do between now and the end of the season to win the league. But, you know, it's what, there's 18, 19 games left of the season. There's some big games coming up. We've all got to play each other again. We know what we need to do. They know what they need to do. The one thing that we've got in our favour right now is we know what it takes to win that Premier League. We know this business end of the season is very much where you see prime Manchester City. You've got some fantastic players coming back. So it's easy to see why the opponents are looking at it thinking, do you know what? We haven't done enough right now to be clear of Manchester City, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm not overly that concerned about catching Liverpool up. And we've still got to go to Spurs Stadium. We've still got to go to Anfield. These are not happy hunting grounds for us. And still, I'm not that concerned because I know what Manchester City can do.
It's not very often we find ourselves with a favourable run of fixtures, you should say. Like, I know it's no God-given right to go on and win, 6-7 games in a row, but when you look at the fixtures we have lying ahead of us right up until essentially the first game in March, which is United at home, we look at them all and say you would expect City to win them. You could maybe give an exception for St. James's Park in 2 weeks' time just because of the nature of that venue. But if City turn up to their best, I'd fancy to go there and beat Newcastle. But it's all kind of falling into place nicely for us. And I don't want to jinx anything. And like I say, there's no God-given right to go on and do anything. But when I said there that that big period you're talking about, Jace, of Anfield and Tottenham away coming up is all kind of March, April. We now have a favourable run of fixtures where we can get De Bruyne back in. We can get Haaland back in. We can get Doku back in. Hopefully get John Stones back in. And God willing, everything goes to plan. We have a fully fit and firing Manchester City that has gone on a run of 7-8 games in a row into that business end, which is not something anybody wants. Liverpool and Arsenal would have been fearing the idea that City, that fear that City put a run together all of a sudden becomes a reality. And we weren't so sure that ourselves before Christmas time, but now we have a perfect avenue to go and do so. So I suppose, Amos, over the course of the next 2 months, I mean, like I said, we've got Newcastle away in January 13th, and then we've got Chelsea at home. I really fancy Chelsea at home the end of February. I fancy revenge there. But around all of those really favourable run of fixtures, what would you like to see from City? How would you like it to pan out? Obviously, of course, 3 points in all of them, but how do City go about that?
Do you know what I think the biggest problem for City could be? And it sounds crazy having just spent the last month or so going on about the players who've been missing, but perhaps maybe the fact that we have to try and find a way to get all of these players into one team. And that sounds, that sounds spoiled, and I guess in a way it is, because nobody would want to be without De Bruyne, no one would want to be without Doku, Stones, etc. But say, for example, come mid-January, after that mid-season break, when we play either an FA Cup game or Burnley, we have close to, if not a full squad. Can anybody, hand on heart, sit down and say this is City's strongest starting 11 with all the players they have? I don't think anybody would, if we went man to man to man, I don't think anybody would have the same 11 players. So I think it's weird because City very much in a title race, or other teams very much in a title race, but it feels like City's biggest competitor, and I maintain this in terms of mentality as well, could be themselves. And it might be a case of how do they find the best team to go on and go on that 15-20 game stretch.
Pep said that, Amos, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's ourselves we're up against. It becomes a mentality thing. Can you go on? Do you want the hunger to carry on? And I did listen. I know I play the calm card all the time. Listen, inside there's times where I'm raging, like, "What are you doing?" I'm not just. I'm still human at the end of the day. I don't class everything as a meltdown. The thing I was yes, through our dodgy period or bad time, we weren't losing. That was my thing. We weren't playing.
Apart from the Villa game, it was unbeaten.
Apart from the Villa game, that was bad.
Very bad.
It was beyond bad. I'm being kind.
Words we can't say live on air.
I'm being really kind. The Villa game was when I was raging. Because it was so unrecognisable from a Pep team. It was like, what? But you could tell, like I said, take 5 pieces out of the Arsenal 11 and go in a Villa. And Arsenal lost at Villa, and they had mainly the best team going out there. So it just showed you what you were facing. We were drawing, but we were also getting the occasional win. We weren't losing. We weren't playing bad. We were playing bad in 10 and 15 minute spells. We would generally go back to the Tottenham game. Should have 3, 4, 5 up by half time, technically. You look at the Chelsea game, should have really won it. We weren't playing bad. And that was my thing. If I saw us playing badly, I'd have gone, right, there's something wrong now. It was cutting out them little mistakes. And I saw that against Sheffield United. When we went 2-0 up, you saw in the last 10 minutes, we went back to our usual closing the game down. We weren't trying to go for a third and a fourth goal and trying to look at us. We were just keep the ball in the corner. Mess around with it. Don't do anything silly. And that's what I liked about it. And in this time, I've seen Phil Foden grow. I don't know about anybody else, but I think Phil Foden looks like he's aged 10 years, maturity-wise, even, in the last 3 games. Pep said it himself. He's finally got it. I've always thought he had it, but Pep gets knows more than me. But, Phil Foden's just on fire. I think, Amos, you'll have the stats there for that.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you saw the one doing the rounds the other day, the fact that he's created more key chances than he has misplaced passes in City's last 2 games, which, it is crazy. And don't get me wrong, it's a metric which isn't sustainable. And I think if he did sustain it, then we're talking Lionel Messi, Ballon d'Or, sort of, 5 Ballon d'Ors across his career if he's doing that for the next 10 years. But he has really shouldered it. And going back to the point I made before, it's how when De Bruyne comes back in, how do you keep Foden in this position? Because, you would expect that that's the position De Bruyne plays. I've seen a few people saying De Bruyne can drop deeper, he can play alongside Rodri, and that's, on paper, that looks wonderful to have Rodri, De Bruyne, Foden in the same midfield. But obviously, until we see it, we don't know what it'll be like. So it'll be interesting to see how this next 4 weeks, and it is beneficial, like you were saying before, that City's run isn't necessarily too testing in January, because you can fiddle about. Like, I won't be surprised on Sunday against Huddersfield to see a De Bruyne start, and it might be next to Foden just to test it out. And I think that's going to be beneficial for City. But by the time we get into, I don't know if anyone's seen that, not to go too far ahead, but sort of starting at March, we have United, Copenhagen, Liverpool, Brighton, Arsenal, Villa, all the way up until April, and obviously Champions League quarterfinals and stuff in there. That's when City need to be locked in. That's when we need to know the starting 11 pretty much every game, the 15 players we can rely on. But up until then, things are positive. Absolutely.
In terms of that start, sorry, bro, are you going to say something, Jordan?
No, go for it, bro. Go for it. Right.
I was going to say, in terms of that starting 11 that needs to be locked in, I fully agree. You need consistency in selection, particularly in that period of the season. And that's what worked well for us in the treble, when, you kind of could tell pretty well the starting 11 week in, week out. I think he's gonna find it difficult, and it's gonna be a good headache, I suppose, if all things go to plan when we get to that period. I mean, Phil Foden, like I agree with absolutely everything we've said. He's been absolutely phenomenal. He's really grown into that midfield role. I think we saw glimmers of it over the years. Really, he'd get a chance here and there, and you're like, yeah, he could grow into it. But now he's had a sustained run in midfield. You see what's there on offer. But you think about Jason, Nunes, Kovacic, Bernardo could play midfield as well, of course. And then you've got De Bruyne coming back. How would you like to see it shape up as we move into that business end? Would you like to see a Rodri, De Bruyne, Foden midfield? Do you think that's the recipe for success for us?
I think it all depends on the opponents that we're taking on. I think I'd just measure it up game by game. If a team, Liverpool, for example, are a high pressing team, a high energy team, you're going to need extra runners in midfield. You'd assess then, would you say, would it be better to take off a more creative player like a Foden or a Bernardo Silva and go with the extra man in midfield and go with a Kovacic or a Mateus Nunes, for example? You could end up, I think a lot depends on that Champions League draw. And I am saying this before we even made it to the quarterfinal. We've still got to get through FC Copenhagen. But if we do end up making it to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, again, it then measures up on who we're going to be facing and do we need to prioritise. I think these games that we've got coming up between January through February are very important for City. If we can win all of them, might just give us a little bit of daylight between us and the rest that we may be able to afford in one of them games sandwiched in late March and early April, that we may be able to maybe just rotate a little bit. But it's difficult. It's very difficult. It's always nice to have the options when you've got games coming in thick and fast. I mean, we could be. I'm just having a look at the schedule here. We could end up having an Arsenal followed by Aston Villa, a Champions League quarterfinal sandwiched in there, maybe against a Real Madrid or somebody
maybe against an Arsenal. Could you imagine that?
An Arsenal or somebody just chucked right in there, and you know what I mean. All of a sudden, then it becomes very difficult because you've got four games in a row where you're playing and you need to be at 100%, and it's very difficult. Then something has to give, and you need your squad depth then, because I look at, going back to the question that was asked before, who's City's main rivals? Well, Arsenal, I would expect them to get through FC Porto, which means if they're getting to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, they've got to be taking it very seriously, like Manchester City will. I look towards Aston Villa. They're in the Europa League, aren't they? So, again, they'll be taking that very seriously. It's a European competition. And I think of all the teams that aren't going to be taking that seriously will be Liverpool. They'll be looking at the Europa League, and if they see City and Arsenal going through, will probably say to themselves, we don't need the Europa League, in particular if we're within touching distance of where Manchester City are. But a lot depends on what happens in that match at Anfield in March, which is a huge game for City and for Liverpool. So just got to take it in our stride. I would love to see Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden in midfield. I'd love to see that creativity. But if we're going to have a team that's prepared to go toe for toe with us, and it's going to leave us exposed in midfield and leave Rodri exposed, then I'd probably prefer the extra runner in there and a little bit extra protection for him. But if a team's going to sit a little bit deeper, get the creativity in there and try and score 3 or 4 goals as quickly as possible, which is what we saw a lot of in the business end of the season last season. City were just blitzing teams apart, wrapping things up by half time, and that they can start taking it easy in the second half and start thinking about the next big game in 3 days' time.
I think it's crazy when you consider like the luxury that we have in this midfield with Kev coming back. It's mad. And then obviously Foden has now entered the game in that position. He's saying, look, I am him. I want to be playing it. Came out in the interview the other week saying he wants that position as well. It's like, say, a Foden Kev midfield. I like the idea of it. I do think that Kev would have to drop a little bit deeper, but I don't think that's something that we've not seen from Kev before. So there's so many times that we've seen Kev drop a little bit deeper, move over to the right hand side a little bit, kind of play his creativity, them swinging passes that we see from deeper in midfield. Which obviously it's nicer to have Kev close to the goal because we know his ability is there. Like he comes in clutch time after time. But creative wise, I think it could work. It could be a thing, but I just think the amount of players that are now stepping up is mad. I know Kovacic's had a bit of he hit the ground running. He looked like he really got this system. He's kind of dipped off a little bit. I think since the Arsenal game, he hasn't really looked the same as what he did at the start of the season. But Nunes is now making his claim. He's saying, "Look, I am here. I exist." He's looking really good. So you've got Alvarez started the season incredibly in midfield. He's one of our best players for the first couple of months. And obviously, then he's going to have a period out of the team when Kev comes back. It's just a massive headache of players that all want to play in that midfield. And we're talking about signing Joshua Kimmich as well, just to add into that mix of all these players that want to play in this midfield.
Oh, can you imagine that for?
Oh, imagine.
Could you imagine? Rodri, Kimmich, Foden, KDB.
Woof,
And then
woof,
we're all
woof.
sat there 3 months ago going, that midfield's a lot of crap.
Woof, woof, woof.
You know what I mean? You sat there going, all right. No, but it's like, I found it really interesting because I had a look at the heat map for Sheffield United because a mate of mine mentioned it at the game and I thought, no, I need to look at it properly. And I think what Rodri's doing Saturday was very underrated by a lot. You watch, Rodri wasn't really the sixth for the first hour. Rodri was the more advanced, and Kovacic went into the six. Then when Kova went off, Rodri drops back. But Rodri was, hence why he got that goal because he was doing the sort of breaking from deep. And then I went and watched a lot of games, the back end of last season when Gundogan was on his run, and I watched them back, and I watched Rodri and Gundogan were sort of interchanging that role. You watch Rodri was then going and Gundo sat. And then when Gundo sat, Rodri sat. When Gundo went, Rodri sat. And it was really interesting. And I think the KDB coming back thing is a thing I've been on the train for a little bit because I can see him as like a quarterback going a little bit deeper and pinging 30, 40 yard balls.
That's what I have admired with like the Foden and Kev partnership.
I
just think that could happen. Forward. Yeah, I mean,
go back to the Burnley game. Go back to the Burnley game and watch Ederson, what he did. Ederson did a lot of it at first. Big balls over the top, flick on, and away we went. It was really, and then Kev got his injury, and then obviously that stopped. But he has tried it in certain games with Ederson with that ball, just to go flick on and see where we go with it. But it's Pep in it. He'll experiment till the day he's no longer here. He's never going to stick to one thing.
Yeah, well, this we're kind of coming out of the period in which he usually experiments anyway. I'd imagine we'll start to see a bit of consistency when he has his full complement of players, and we'll get a real feel for the shape in which he wants the team to look like. I'm going to have a look at some of these super chats here. People, make sure you have hit the like button. About 400 people in the building. Smash the like button, big thumbs up, and subscribe if you're new around here. Big up Richard, brand new member of the Xtra Club. Congratulations.
Yes, Richard, mate.
Professional idiot with the 5 as well. This is the time where we pounce on that banter ref favored one title in 30 years, crying, moaning in need of sponsor money. Liverpool.
No. Liverpool.
Oh yeah, yeah. Get it right here.
Double it down, you. Come on.
Sorry. Liverpool. I'm reading too fast, man. Liverpool, right? I suppose, yeah. I agree. This is the time where we have to pounce. Like we've gone over a few times. We have a very favourable run of fixtures, professional idiot. So we can put a run together and start to really put some pressure on those guys. And as Martin said, I think I wasn't even aware they play each other again in a few weeks in a league game. So one of them will take a hit to some capacity that day. So look, I think the pressure's on Arsenal personally because Liverpool are somewhat of a new package when it comes to title races again. They've rebuilding a new team. They were never expected to win the Premier League this season. City are off the back of 3 in a row. Can you demand 4 in a row? No, you can't. Arsenal have been bigging themselves up, gassing themselves up. They've spent more money. For me, the pressure should be on Arsenal, and they're not handling the pressure very well in true Arsenal fashion. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys watched the Big Six, but last night I was told that Saliba is just clear of John Stones. The words, "Who the fuck is John Stones?" came out of one of the lads' mouth.
What?
I'm sorry, am I crazy?
Nah.
Who the fuck is John Stones? This is an all-city space, so I feel safe to bring it up here, but wow.
That's a terrible take.
I've heard a better one. Apparently, it's up to the league now to all get together and stop the mighty evil Manchester City from winning a 4th title now. That was just because we got linked with Kimmich. It was like,
yeah. What they're going to do? Combine points, and Arsenal got
8 points.
Yeah, they're going to airdrop Liverpool 20 points at the end of the season.
It was like, oh, what do you mean?
20 points on tick.
Well, I don't remember anyone ganging up on United like this and stopping them winning 3 and 4 titles.
No one likes the new kid in the block, do they? No one likes the new kid who comes and upsets the peace. Big up professionally though for the 5. I agree with the sentiment of what you're saying. Big up not Alteis for the 1 month membership. Let's not forget the AFCON and the Asia Cup. Salah is going. Sadly, Mane left. But Poole will drop points. We will be top in Feb and we won't give it away. I said this to Joe on a stream the other night. I genuinely I feel we're going to be top of the league in a couple of weeks' time. I really do. It's up to the City. As Amos said, I think our biggest enemy is ourselves. If we can get to the level we know we can and put some consistency together, I don't really fear Arsenal or Liverpool. Neither of them give me that sense of, oh shit, they're going to go on and win 20 games in a row type thing or whatever's left, 18, 19. So Salah, massive blow for Liverpool. Massive, massive blow for Liverpool when he goes off to the AFCON. They're going to have to figure out, they're going to have to get a tune out of Darwin Núñez or some of the players who haven't been, banging the way they should be. So big up, not Alteis for that. I want to do a small bit of transfer talk as, of course, we are in the January transfer window. City, obviously, there's no concrete links to anybody major. We have touched on Joshua Kimmich, though. And who was it Jordan was saying? Was it Tolmy? Tolmy was saying 20 million is something you could go and get Joshua Kimmich for.
With Phillips going the other way.
With Phillips the other way. 20 million and Phillips the other way for Joshua Kimmich. And apparently, Martin, Kimmich wants to come to Manchester City.
I'm now banned.
No. Don't you dare see the lips.
I'm banned out of this part. No. I believe it. I think it'll happen.
This January.
I look for different signs because the noises are getting louder. And at this stage, Bayern or City, if that was the case, Bayern and City would say, nah, it's not in this. Someone would stop it dead.
Yeah, we've seen it plenty of times with City.
Yeah, it's City. Do you remember the Neymar stuff? We're getting there.
Yeah, Neymar. Even the re-signing of Sane when
it was
we like fueled the fire with that massively, and then City the press conference just went. Boop.
Somebody comes out, or Jack Garner says, "No, I've spoken with someone in." Nobody's saying anything. And I know Kimmich has played, but Kimmich has suddenly dropped down with an unknown injury, which is very weird for the last 2 games. Suddenly out on injury now. Last week, he was getting an agent sorted out. Now there's quotes coming out from Kimmich of him and Tuchel don't get on because they don't see the number 6 role in the same way as each other. The thing I can't get, and it sounds awful me saying this, I can't get my head around Bayern maybe wanting Calvin Phillips over Kimmich.
I can't get my
this is a bit in my head. I'm like, but it's Tuchel. It is a Tuchel move to do this.
I don't know if it's necessarily them wanting him over him, but obviously his contract is end of 2025, Kimmich, and if he leaves, they're going to need someone. And they tried in the summer. They were minutes away from getting João Palhinha from Fulham, but the German Bundesliga transfer window finished at 6 p.m. Obviously, ours goes to 11 p.m. So they are in desperate need of a holding midfielder. I'd take him tomorrow, Joshua Kimmich, but he's not a natural 6. He can alleviate the pressure on Rodri in that position. Yeah, and he can step into defence. He can play a little bit higher. That isn't what Bayern need at the moment. They need somebody who can just shadow that defence. Is Calvin Phillips that guy? Perhaps. I think most people who've watched him the last 18 months at City would say maybe not, but maybe, there is talent there. So I think it is possibly more a case of them needing somebody if they are to get rid of Kimmich, who by all accounts wants out.
I imagine it's Harry Kane is the driver in the getting Calvin Phillips to Bayern Munich. Didn't you say that, or someone reported saying Harry Kane is trying to push for Calvin?
Yeah, someone said about Harry Kane basically. He's trying to push it as well. End of the day, he's getting his mate over, isn't he? So,
Tommy done his songs as well today.
Tommy did his songs today, which always starts something, doesn't it?
I'm out of the loop here. I don't know what this means.
So on the Blue Moon forum, told me every time there was a signing or he got information, he'd put songs into the Blue Moon forum. I've not actually been on the Blue Moon forum for quite a while now, but he always posts songs as clues into what he knows or who it's about. And he started again today, and he's doing it on Twitter this time. And there's like a little bit. There's always meaning behind the lyrics. Basically, it's basically him saying things without saying things.
There was Abba. Take a chance on me. I've got a feeling that's not Kimmich.
No, that sounds like taking a
hell's
chance on a
going on?
different player.
No, I think that's Paqueta. And why? Because
Oh yeah, take a chance on me saying that he's not guilty. Like, take a chance on signing me.
now, Paqueta's
This sounds so
Listen,
stupid.
I'm just putting 2 and 2, might be hitting 5 here. But think about it. Kimmich is desperate to come. Kimmich is saying to Sitter, just take the chance. I'm innocent.
I'm not gonna lie, lads. This is proper 3 a.m. kitchen chat now.
Yeah, the tinfoil hats are on. We're
I do?
firmly dialed in.
What can I do when Tommy's sticking songs out? I can't do a lot more than
We're
that.
trying to interpret the lyrics of ABBA.
Yeah,
one of
that's
ABBA's
what he does, though, and then-
greatest
That's what he wants you to do.
Yeah, he does. That's what he wants. He wants you to go through the lyrics and figure it out. But then he also put Billy Ocean with Red Light Spells Danger, which
Yeah. So chat. Just to clarify here, we have Tommy posting ABBA Take a Chance on Me, Billy Ocean Red Light Spells Danger, Beyonce Halo. So naturally that means City are signing someone.
There's some belting tunes there, to be fair. Maybe he's just sharing his playlist.
Somebody said that. He told me Spotify playlist going out early on.
guy's just listening to tunes, isn't it? Like, got us all on strings.
They're taking the piss. Look at this lot here. Look, they're all talking about it.
He's sat in pub going, yeah, lads, watch this when I post this song. Look at all the comments on this.
It just like you said, I don't think Kimmich is going to sign a contract while Tuchel's there. And to me, it's a now or never, because I don't think Tuchel will get to the summer. I think he'll be gone. So I think it's a now or never for me on Kimmich.
I've just seen Elder in the chat there put Halo is Paqueta because of the lyrics breaking the rules. So this could all be about Paqueta.
Can you imagine Paqueta and Kimmich? That's your transfer window done for the summer and the winter.
Yeah.
Just as a thing, would anyone actually take a risk? Take a chance. Take a chance. Would you actually take a chance on Paqueta? Like, would anyone just take a chance? I think me and Hugh had this conversation, right? Would
I
you?
don't
Would
know
you
if we'd
just go?
need him, though.
Yeah.
I like genuinely. I don't know where does he fit with De Bruyne coming back, with Nunes sort of just finding form,
Which
with
one?
Foden,
Kimmich.
Paqueta.
I think he's the natural Bernardo replacement.
Which would be perfect. Yeah, which would be perfect in
think
the
they're
summer.
getting him in for, if they get him now, I think that would mean Bernardo's out summertime.
I think Bernardo's probably, especially when he signed his contracts and the reported release clause being so low.
Wait, what is it? 50 million for these clauses?
Something like that. Yeah.
49 point something I heard.
Yeah. God, imagine getting Bernardo Silva for that. But yeah, I think, perhaps in January, I don't know, but I think you sort of maybe making a problem for yourselves that because what if Bernardo Silva turns around and goes, oh, you know what, I love it here. It's unlikely, but what if he wants to stick around? I think you leave that to the summer and try and find a solution for Rodri cover / sort of deeper midfield player in January.
Well, that's Kimmich, isn't it? They're like Kimmich
Absolutely.
That is
Absolutely.
Kimmich.
But would Bayern get more money now than the summer?
Depends who's buying.
In summer, he'd have a year left on his contract.
That's what I mean.
Kimmich.
Laws, if they do want Calvin, will Calvin be there available? Is it just a situation where everything fits where Calvin is available now? If they want Calvin, it's sort of. I think the biggest issue with the Kimmich deal is the fans at Bayern, how you get around that one.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Loose with them.
and Bayern as well, if we've learned anything from the last sort of 5-10 years of City, Bayern Munich despise City. They despise the Premier League and the way it's set up, but I think for them to sell their poster boy, and it's interesting as well, we'll get heading into a European Championship year, or we're in the European Championship year. It's obviously being held in Germany, so he is this sort of poster boy figure of German football. Bayern are the poster team of German football. They have at home European Championships. The optics don't look great if you're selling one of your nation's best players to perceivably the best club in the world, the biggest club in the world, the most dominant team in the world. So I think they'll try and do everything they can to stop it happening. But like you say, if Kimmich wants out, his contract has got 18 months left to run. Well, it could spell danger. Red light could spell danger.
Yeah. I think there's still this thing in my head where I don't see a sign to anyone. I don't know what it is. I feel like they're all summer signings, but then like I say, I don't know with the way this Kimmich thing's moving. I feel like there's no smoke without fire or whatever the
It
saying
was
is.
first talked about or got reported in the media start December.
Yeah, and I think Kimmich would love to be back with Pep.
From City has gone. Nope.
Yeah, they've had all this time, City, to just go, nope, not a thing, which we see them do a lot. We see them do all the time to stop the fans running away with it and getting excited about something because it doesn't look good on their part when it doesn't actually happen. They always try and put a damper on it. And even Bayern and Joe double down on it, and no one's doing it. Kimmich isn't coming out saying, "Oh no, I don't know what you're on about. I want to stay at Bayern Munich." Nothing is happening to basically force the other side of it and say, "Nah, this ain't a thing."
Jordan's driving the train now.
I honestly, I've got my ticket. I'm on it. I'm firmly on it. But I was on it last night.
Rail card.
Yeah, I was firmly on the transfer last night. I think I'm trying to manifest it more than what makes sense. But
the big thing is Kimmich wants City. That was the main line for me. He wants. I don't think he wants City. I think he wants Pep.
Yeah,
I think that was the wrong. I know. Yes, he'll want City, but I think he wants Pep.
If Kimmich comes in, you know what I mean? Pep extension or what?
I think
Pep. I think Pep does at least another year. Yeah, I think Pep does another year at least.
Not to be a buzzkill, I reckon it going back to 115. It probably depends on that. I can't see him leaving before the verdict is out. I can't see him leaving sort of before that because say he leaves and then City get the harshest punishment. It makes his work look like it was a little bit fraudulent. So I reckon it's probably. Until that comes. So we're hoping, fingers crossed, that gets pushed back to, 2037, because he'll still be here as like a 65-year-old winning 15 titles in a row.
I'm not trying to think, but I'm just reading up, just looking at the things. It goes back, there was a game where they played in Kimmich and Tuchel. I mean, this was talked about in September. Kimmich got substituted and just walked right past Tuchel, and Tuchel was trying to talk to him. And they interviewed Kimmich afterwards, and Kimmich went and speak to the coach. He makes the decisions, not me.
I think Pep
There's
would
something
love
not right there with them.
I think Pep would love Kimmich. Pep made Kimmich, didn't he? He essentially made Kimmich when he was there.
See, I'm co-driving with Jordan now. You got me all right.
Yeah, we're in. I mean, Martin dialed in here.
And Jay's like, that ain't happening.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll flip and we'll be like, nah, it's not happening this. Then in another week we'll be like fully driving it again.
Paulinho.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want a bus when you got the thing at the front and it like changes its numbers and that? We'll just be changing that to whatever player we get excited about. That's what it is.
Change the destination on there. That's what
easy.
It was Andre 3 weeks ago, and then we
it was.
Now forget that. One Kimmich now.
I'd love Joshua Kimmich. Just a quick reminder, guys, there's about 450 in the building. Make sure you've smashed the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And this stream is sponsored by Boo Hoo Man, so you can use code CityXtra at checkout for an extra 10% off. Get some nice clobber or some horrible coats like Jordan wears.
Yo, what are you on about? It's a sick coat. I was actually going to wear it for this stream as well, but I'm sick of people talking about it.
Nah, dead coat. Don't buy the dead coat, but you can use code CityXtra for anything else on Boohoo's website for an extra 10% off. Jace, Joshua Kimmich, it seems like a perfect fit for Manchester City. Like, if we're going to lose Calvin Phillips, Kimmich is an obvious replacement in terms of number 6 backup. Can also play on the right and can also play slightly further forward. The versatility alone is something that will massively appeal to Pep Guardiola.
He's a perfect Pep Guardiola player. And it'd make a lot of sense for Manchester City to go and get the transfer sorted ASAP. I feel like a lot depends on what happens with Calvin Phillips. There's talk of Man City obviously loaning him out because they're going to struggle to get a permanent transfer sorted for the winter window. But if they manage to get an obligation to buy and the guarantee of money there, then obviously there's already some funds available for us to dip into the market if we really need to. But it further reassures with that net spend that Manchester City have the guaranteed income to go in there and dip into the market. Obviously, everything hangs in the Calvin Phillips court and how long it's going to take to get his future sorted. I'd love to say I was on the Joshua Kimmich hype train. To me, it smells more of a summer transfer rather than a January transfer, just mainly because Man City just don't tend to. Have we done any bits of big business since Aymeric Laporte I can't recall of anything on top of my brain that's not us going to South America and signing the next upcoming talents, because it's just not really how we do things. But I do want to stress the importance that our squad is so stretched thin. It was great that we were speaking about De Bruyne coming back, and we're speaking about this great midfield that we've got available to us. There's 4 midfield positions for us. There's 6 competitive players. You get 2 injuries to key players in midfield, and all of a sudden we're looking very stretched, and you're taking away Calvin Phillips from the Manchester City squad altogether as well. There's been times this season where we've not even named a full substitute bench, and we're talking of a first-team squad player leaving the club as well. So I think it'd be criminal if we do let him leave not to bring somebody in, and it would be nice to have some extra cover in midfield, because I don't know about everybody else, but I'm pretty concerned when it comes to John Stones and his injuries that he's had this season. And I feel like we're a little bit more exposed in midfield when we've not got John Stones there. There was a reason why I was after Declan Rice in the summer. We wanted that extra protection. Everyone was talking about he's not going to be rotating with Rodri. He's not going to want to be benched. It never was the plan, in my opinion, for Declan Rice to come to the club and he'd be benched for Rodri. It was always going to be a case that they'd be playing alongside each other in midfield. And I think that's where City would like to put Joshua Kimmich, for example, if we wanted to bring him in. But for that to happen, Calvin Phillips has to leave first. We'll see what happens from there and how quickly that gets sorted, because surely Bayern Munich can do a little bit better than Calvin Phillips in midfield, no?
Well, can I give you some direct quotes from August? This is from Kimmich and then Tuchel, which might explain something. He said, this was before pre-season. They were talking about, Kimmich explained, I am a 6 ahead of the game against Liverpool, this was. He said, for example, Joshua Kimmich is a leader. He wants to help everywhere. Then Tuchel said, what we don't have is a defensive 6 who holds position, thinks defensively, pays more attention to protection and what's happening in the final third of their pitch. That, to me, is why I think they want Phillips. I think he's seen Phillips as a direct 6. Nothing else.
Well, I said this on our stream the other day, Jordan. I said, I think as just a destroyer, as a number 6, if Calvin Phillips was given time, he'd be perfectly fine. I think he'd be perfectly fine. That's just
I am with Jay. It does seem weird that swap Kimmich for Phillips. That is
if they want them, work away. Who might stop Thomas Tuchel wanting Calvin Phillips? But I think as a number 6, just to be defensive number 6, Calvin Phillips would be fine. He'd be serviceable. He'd do that if that's what Thomas Tuchel wants. But Pep obviously demands a lot more from a number 6, and we've seen that with Fernandinho. We've seen that with Rodri. We've seen that when Gundogan's played as a number 6. Rodri, obviously the highest ability of all of them, that you need to be able to contribute going forward. You need to be able to pick passes, and that signature pass Rodri has when play is over to one side, he'll spray it over to the other wing. You need to have that in your locker, and I think in terms of ticking those boxes, Kimmich is a massive upgrade on what Calvin Phillips offers us, at least on that front. So, yeah, I mean, who's this? Not Alteus here with the super chat. Big up, not Alteus says, to be honest, as a German, Kimmich's narrative has changed last year. He gets a lot of critic in the media, and there is even a debate if he should start for Germany. Does it seem a bit to you, Martin, because you've looked into it probably the most out of all of us, that Kimmich is just getting a bit fed up in Germany?
I'd say more fed up at Tuchel.
Yeah, I think it's just a situation where this is a manager and a player that I just did. Honestly, I sat looking through all these quotes and I'm like, so I thought, when you hear the rumours, they don't get on and you think, oh, that's one quote that's been totally taken out and now it's blown up into something it's not. And I've looked up, it's quote after quote after quote. Nearly every bad game, those two are going at it. And you're like, I don't know what it is. There's something not getting on with them. And there was that rumour, wasn't there, that was it in Build or someone that they now class Kimmich as where he was previously untransferable, he was now being looked at as he could go. And I just find it mad. And then I look at, they wanted Walker in the summer, got Kane. I don't know if he's trying to do an English revolution over there. And I don't know what he's trying to do. Maybe it's Tuchel, I don't know. But Phillips seems more of a Tuchel player than a Kimmich. And Kimmich seems more of a Pep player than Phillips. And
everything is kind of piecing together nicely for the transfer to happen.
We'll wake up and he's signing a new 4-year deal, and then having a big
Yeah.
I think it's worth mentioning as well. Looking at the Kimmich situation, he's been at Bayern since 2015, and that's what going on the best part of 10 years. I know winning trophies is lovely, but he's only ever known Bundesliga success with Bayern. Every single season he's been with the club, he's won the Meisterschale, the Bundesliga title. So he's at 28 now. He turns 29 in February. He's got what, realistically speaking, 4 years maybe in elite football. Pep Guardiola's not going to be at City forever. City are currently the best team in Europe. It's looking like they might go on to win 1 or 2 more Champions Leagues. I reckon he's probably just maybe a bit apathetic towards Bayern Munich. And obviously, if he's not getting on with Thomas Tuchel, then that presents the opportunity. If his contract is coming to a point where he is more accessible for another club in terms of a transfer, then yeah, that makes sense. I reckon if this is to come true, it probably is a number of factors where Kimmich is a little bit, for want of a better word, bored. City need a player. City want to get rid of a player. Bayern Munich want the player City want to get rid of. So it just sometimes these things come together, and and that's probably why the window of opportunity might be opening.
Is it mad? Are we doubting it because Joshua? Because I'll be honest, Joshua Kimmich I've always seen as my dream player. Them players that are like, no, you're never going to get. Like a bit like Frankie de Jong. And you're like, yeah, you want him.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's not. And then when you hit January, you're like, Kimmich doesn't. I do understand what Jay said. It doesn't seem like a January signing. It seems.
But
very,
our transfer dealings this summer weren't City. We went into what was it, the final week of the window, signing Doku, signing Nunes, missing out on Rice, missing out on Paqueta. Usually we're done and dusted by early August. So I think yeah, well, kind of, yeah. But obviously, you win the treble last season. You have exits that you don't necessarily think would happen in Mahrez and Gundogan. Things have been a little bit un-City-like. So what it would make sense to be an un-City-like January signing. And you mentioned Laporte before. City don't usually do business in January unless there is a gaping hole in their squad, and there is a gaping hole. And if Kimmich is available, then yeah, go for it.
And Phillips goes, you have to replace. You can't
simply.
I know it
simply
doesn't
have
play,
to.
but you cannot take the squad. I with JL get on that. Cannot take the squad that thin.
Yeah,
it's a major risk to run it like that. I and City might even go into this January thinking, if this Kimmich thing is happening now, let's not give Kimmich another 6 months to fix things with Tuchel. Let's get in now whilst he's already thinking about leaving. And we have the opportunity here to go get a very, very, very good player who's played under Pep and he can come into this system and work, who's a light year upgrade on Calvin Phillips, with no disrespect, but it is in this Pep side. And it saves us having to wait for a summer move and wait for another team to be interested in Kimmich in summer, or wait for Kimmich to sort things out. I think City might just be looking at it going, now's the time to pounce on this whilst it's happening.
Do you know what, Jordan? I actually think that there's a lot of rumours, obviously, that float around. Joshua Kimmich is available for a pretty good price. When I'm hearing 80, 90 million pound Lucas Paqueta, I'm hearing 70 million pound Michael Olise, I'm hearing 80 million pound Eze from Crystal Palace and things. I'm thinking to myself, do you know what? They're risky transfers. For a smaller fee, you can have somebody who we can near enough guarantee will be a success at City because he's worked with Pep Guardiola before. We know what to expect from him. He knows what to expect from us. It's a transfer that makes sense. I'd love to see it. I'm just not sure we are going to see it.
Yeah, it is one of the mad ones. Like Martin said, in a couple of days, it might end up with a new 4-year deal, and they're just using City to get more cash. But it doesn't have to stop us. Yeah, get it actually thinking about it. And it's something. It makes sense.
The windows are about, aren't they? When you sit,
yeah.
We always sit there and think we're gonna have a dull window, like Jay says.
Yeah.
No, I mean January, we put our feet up and let everyone else deal with it, and we're like, wow, Kimmich. Day one in. It's like,
yeah, well, that's what I said to Hugh yesterday. I said, best believe I'm jumping on the back of every single rumor I see. I said, I'm having Tommy's notifications turned on. I want to see every one of them songs. I'm going through all the lyrics. You know what I mean? I'm
You see,
invested in this transfer window.
No, them magnifying things. You know, when them forensic people.
At the end of the year.
Oh yeah, that's what it is.
What does that mean? What's that? Right, that's German. Let me translate that over, and you start speaking.
Yeah.
Nobody's just got a big wall of like.
Yeah, all them like pins with all like ropes on, like loads of string everywhere.
That said that in December. I know what that means, and that adds to April.
You'll see me at the end of January, and I won't have slept at all. There'll be newspapers everywhere, all over the gaff. I'll be freaking out. I'll be unhinged.
And he'll come and snap a hamstring on his debut, and that's like,
Yeah.
Doing in-depth research into the lyrics of ABBA songs is not something I expected to be doing.
Oh, that's in extreme lyric watch.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
The extra.
I thought I hit a new low doing playing watch.
Yeah.
You're going down to Ringway to sit and look at the airplane for the next 2 weeks.
Image, yeah, for Image, not for ABBA.
Where is that?
Yeah.
No, it does seem a little. It seems like it makes too much sense, nearly, for it to just be so straightforward. the Kimmich thing, you know what I'm saying? It makes too much sense. But I think the big thing is, if it's genuine that he really wants Manchester City and that's how he feels right now, City need to strike while the iron's hot and put aside this pride thing of we don't like to do major business in January and go, look, we have the opportunity to get a player right now who really wants to come to us at a really good fee, and you'd like to think it's as straightforward as we go and begin the negotiations. And even if that means sending Calvin Phillips the other way, I'd say City be more than happy to do so. Big up Professional Elite again with 10. He says 2 things are going on in Germany right now. Bayern looks like a shadow themselves with Tuchel. Secondly, the German national team is in shambles and they are quick to turn on their players. They can be quite an unforgiving bunch, the Germans and the Bayern Munich fans, because they're so used to reoccurring success and the demand Champions Leagues and at the very least the Bundesliga season in, season out. And as Amos kind of alluded to, maybe he just fancies a change of challenge. I mean, that happens for footballers, you know, when they've been playing for one team for years and years and years. Maybe they fancy trying something new. And the Premier League, Manchester City right now under Pep, whereas more appealing than that? I'll wait for your answer. Mohammed again, do you think Kimmich will play inverted right back? Well, that comes down to the versatility thing again, doesn't it? He's an extremely versatile player. I think you could play Kimmich in a double pivot beside Rodri. You could play him as a lone 6. He could play as an inverted right back. He could do the John Stones role. He could play as an 8. I mean, the possibilities are endless when it comes to Joshua Kimmich, and he'll do all of them to a very, very high standard. So, look, like I said, it makes too much sense for me right now to get too excited. Too much sense. I don't like that. But listen, we're going to talk for another 5 or so minutes because the darts are starting soon and I do want to watch that. Make sure you've hit the like button and you're subscribed to the channel. The final topic is the next Lionel Messi. Claudio Echeverri.
As someone who, right, you got to take the L on this, right? The other day he was like, "I'm not going to call him the next Messi," and in his next sentence goes, "The next Lionel Messi."
Dude, that's a big flip. You got that when you were in that box the other day, weren't you? You were in that box, and he's gone next Messi.
No, it's tongue in cheek. The next Lionel Messi, but we've signed this kid from River Plate. Another deal with River Plate, a club we seem to have a very good relationship right now. I'm reading a multitude of reports as to what his progression and his pathway at Manchester City will be. Some saying he'll just join us in December 2024. He'll be part of the first team squad. And then I've seen other reports which are a bit more disheartening, suggesting he'll go to Girona. Now, anybody who goes to Girona, it's not really, it's not. Yeah. You know what I mean. But how do you guys feel about this transfer? Now, I don't usually get too excited or too gassed about the 16, 17-year-old players we sign because we do it a lot. We sign a lot of them, but there's a lot of hype coming with this kid. And I have looked at some of his compilations. He looks great, Amos.
Yeah, he does look great, and he is great. And I would temper the Julian Alvarez comparisons. Obviously, they're different players, but just in the way that, I've seen a lot of people say, oh, it's similar to Alvarez, and it is similar. But Alvarez left River Plate at 22, I think it was. He was an established Argentine international. He'd won the Copa Libertadores, one of the best players in Argentina. This lad still has a lot of development to do, and that could come in the next 6 months between now and when he's, supposedly going to join either in the summer or in December. My only worry is, like you say, when you start hearing the words could be loaned to Girona, that's, for me, any player who could be loaned for City, that's a nail in their coffin in terms of City career, and it takes a lot to sort of break out of it. So I'm a bit, I'm calmer at the moment. He looks great, and I guess the only opposite caveat to that is the fact that you don't usually pay 20 million quid for players that they don't necessarily see a pathway to the first team. It'll be interesting to see. It could be a case of, should he join in the summer, going back to it, Bernardo Silva. If he leaves, then they're similar in terms of qualities and what they can bring. It may be that City are already planning for the 2024-25 season. And I'm going to leave on this. It may be that City are already planning for post-Pep, because that's a player you're looking at in sort of who will be starting to hit the peak in 5 years. I know, I had to say it, but we're in that period now. So there's lots of factors. I would love to see him in the first team because he's got plenty of quality. I just don't like the noise around loan here, loan there.
But as Johnny Lara says here in the comments, Jace, 25 million for a player we're going to loan to Girona doesn't seem very City-like, does it?
Heck of a lot of money to be invested in a player to say that they're not going to be featuring for Manchester City and you're only interested in loaning them out, and that's the avenue that they're going to go down. Surely they're not going to be investing that amount of money and not going to have them utilised around the first team squad. I'm actually quite surprised that they're talking about keeping him at River Plate until December, because we had an option when we brought in Julian Alvarez. He was meant to stay at River Plate until December, but Manchester City kept an eye on his development and kept a clause in his contract that said, actually, he's our player now. We can take him in June and we can have him for our team, for our first team, and let him develop around our first team squad instead. And I've not heard any word at all that Manchester City are planning on doing that with Echeverri. The plan is just to keep him at River Plate until December and assess it from there. But £20 million, it's a lot of money to be invested in a player. There was even talk I saw this morning, is it €5 million in a goodwill gesture being paid to River Plate as well? So even more money, paying more than the release clause, paying more than what we need to for a player. Surely if we're paying more than what we need to for a player, we're actually going to see him in the sky blue of Manchester City. I certainly hope so. I've not watched him play. I don't watch Argentinian football, so I can't sit here and comment and say he's going to bring this and that to Manchester City. I'd take it with a pinch of salt if you're getting compared to be the next Lionel Messi, because obviously that's big boots to fill at such a young age. He's a teenager at the end of the day. We all know he's not going to be the next Lionel Messi. He's going to be Claudio Echeverri, and he could be the next big prospect for Manchester City. He could end up being a dud. I think everyone's just putting unfair pressure onto a player before they're ready for that. They need the development first. Man City know what they're doing. River Plate know what they're doing. Echeverri's representatives know what they're doing with the deal. So if City are prepared to depart with £20 million to sign a very highly rated young player, then I'm very happy with that. I just hope that we will see him within the next 12 months around the City first team squad, which I imagine that probably would be the plan with the money that they're talking. But who knows? It's transfers. It's Manchester City. Who knows what the plan is? Anything can happen.
Can City pay me a £5 million goodwill gesture? Can they get splash that?
I mean, there's five of us here. Let's split.
Yeah, exactly.
$1 million
out of his wages.
Yeah, I got it waiting.
It reached the 116th man.
What's his money I'm paying out?
That tax dividend is going straight out.
No, I can't decide whether he's a Peroni or whether he's an Alvarez.
Yeah,
I'm in between these two because Alvarez I thought was a gamble. Oh, my hand up, proved wrong 100%. Peroni though, I heard, he's gonna be the next best thing. Watch Peroni, he's amazing, but never seen him, and then he's now at Las Palmas and struggled even to get into their team. I don't even know if he's playing for him now, but when he first went there, was just sat on the bench again. It's a weird one because I know we're also trying to build our EDS back as well. And I'm like, is he? I was totally with Amos on it, and then the rumors came out this morning about Girona. I'm like, what we're gonna like? But then we're gonna spend 20 plus, 25 if you include the goodwill, on a 18-month and not see him for 18 months. What? Just forget about him, Terrat? See what happens if Pep's not here in 18 months? What, the next manager? Do you remember that story years ago when Joe Rell was like, just all these players came around the corner and never even seen them? The new manager was like, who's he? Where's he?
Who's this?
All right. I don't. It's a weird one. I don't like the next mess there because I didn't like the Alvarez comparison to Aguero. Just let them be Alvarez. As fans, we do too much in this compare him, and how many times we've done it? KDB's David Silva, Foden's going to be the next David Silva. Just let them be their own player, let them develop in their own time. But I'm 50-50 on it. I don't know. Because, again, I don't sit and watch Argentinian football. And I won't do. I'll watch bits, but I'm still going to sit there for 12 months. I will probably have even completely forgotten about we've got this guy in 12 months. And then it'll just, you've got him coming back. All right. We'll see.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of people in that same boat.
Yeah, and then I read another. Wasn't there a rule? Amos, you might be able to talk me on this. What's the rule with that? And you got to be over a certain age to leave into European football or something.
18, which he turned. I think it was yesterday.
It's the 18, right?
Yeah. So technically, City could take him today, or this week, or whenever it is his 18th birthday is. I think it's probably just one to watch. I don't necessarily think we need to be coming to any conclusion. I don't necessarily think City have a conclusion or a plan. The Girona talk is probably just an option, and when they get him in the CFA, they'll have a look at him, a little bit like Peroni last year, where he stuck around for 6 months. I think I picked it out the other day. He played 2 matches and won 3 trophies, which is incredible for Perone. But it might be a case it's one of them. He has a look and then he goes. I don't know. One to be excited about though, because he's a talent.
Yeah, but we've been linked with loads, haven't we? That the guy left back at Girona, the winger at Joe. We're not bringing them all back. We're not going to unravel, just tear Girona apart.
Yeah, just get all of Girona's team.
Yeah. We're not going to let them win La Liga and then, you're all right. You're all here now.
Yeah. You proved your worth. You're now City players.
It's not going to work that way. So, but I think the Pep thing's really key. We've got 18 months left, and this lad might be on loan for 18 months. So by the time he gets back, Pep might not even be here. Touch what he is. I do think he will extend. I think
I'm sure all these questions were proposed by Echeverry's agent when he was negotiating.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I'm sure he was looking for some reassurance that Pep would be here for at least the foreseeable. So, look, the €5 million goodwill gesture, it reached the 116th charge. I can't lie.
It's a posh way to say backhander for all the I do get what City are doing though. That like River Plate are a club with a rich background of producing top young talent. So they're trying to keep River Plate sweet so that we've got first dibs in any top up and coming young players. So goodwill gestures. work away. Professional Elite again. Big up Professional Elite for all your support tonight, my brother. He says, big on sports washing, cheating, 115 charges, corrupt gesture City. Big up all 5 of you plastic glory hunting fans.
He's not on about us as a 5 there, by the way. He's on about people in the chat. And they read it then, I was like...
He's now 116 because of Jay's revelation about the goodwill gesture.
You've exposed City, Jamie. You've done us here.
I'm getting an email.
Whistleblower.
Bro, I'm getting an
email.
email.
You'll get a 10-game ban from the Etihad.
Big up everybody who's super chat tonight. Listen, we're going to start wrapping it up now slowly. Make sure there's still 450 in the building. Make sure you have hit the like button on the stream. It really, really does help. We're enjoying doing these streams. Hopefully they'll be back every week. The panel shows. Subscribe if you're new around here. Amos, the City Report podcast. What's happening with you these days? Busy as always.
Yeah, bit of time off over the Christmas break and New Year, etc. But we are back daily episodes. We had end of year review, which I sat down and went from January to December, as the year usually goes. That is a year, and just sort of looking at City's best bits and going through that. So if you want to listen to that, it's about an hour long, dipping in and out of it. It went for good fun. But yeah, daily episodes Monday to Friday, covering all things MCFC. Okay.
Do check out the City Report podcast. I'm always listening myself. I've been on it once, twice as well. It is a great podcast over there. Go ahead and check them out. Martin, on the Mancunian way, what's happening over there, my friend?
Just, again, had a bit of a break for Christmas and New Year. Back tomorrow with a massive transfer bumper show alongside a little bit of Huddersfield FA Cup memories, and we'll talk 10-1 and that sort of thing as well. Bring back some old memories. And yeah, we'll be all wearing our Joshua Kimmich t-shirts and might have a little bit of KDB news as well.
Ooh,
love that.
Make sure you do tune into the Mancunian Away. Martin might be dropping some exclusives. Do check out the Mancunian Away.
He's generally out there now, I think, so I don't think he's exclusives.
Do check out the Mancunian Way, though. Martin's always a great contributor here on City Extra, and we like to show support to our great guests. Jason, the JSGC channel, what have you got coming up over the next few weeks? The January transfer window, you're always pretty active with those.
I don't do any breaks, me, nothing over Christmas. Daily Manchester City transfer updates throughout all of January as well. It's all fun and games. Got that to look forward to, as well as all the build up to all the latest City games coming up as well, even though not too many in January. So I am quite thankful for that it's only going to be 1 or 2 videos a day rather than 3 or 4. Unless, of course, Joshua Kimmich ends up coming. That's going to make me very busy as well. So yeah, I've got all the fun and games of the transfer stuff to look forward to. So do go and check out my channel. That would be much appreciated.
Links to all these, by the way, are in the description for people that want to just easily get there.
Get these legends to 100k as well.
Come on. Nearly there. The final 15,
I know we say it every show to go and check these channels out. They are in the description. Do genuinely go and click on them and go and support these great creators. And as we're wrapping it up, Professional Idiot has gifted 5 membership. What a wholesome way to finish the show. Big up Professional Idiot. Big up everybody for your support. Like I was saying, do go and click the links in the description. Go and show support to City Report podcast, Mancunian Way, the JSGC channel. Myself and Jordan here every day as usual. We're going to be doing plenty of transfer talk. We'll be building up towards Huddersfield as well. And us 5, hopefully with one or 2 more next week, we'll be back again, hopefully for a post-match review of some sort on the FA Cup. And we'll start looking towards Newcastle as well. Enjoy the rest of your evenings, people. Happy New Year once again. And we'll see you tomorrow on the City Extra channel. Good night and God bless.